Hey, my friend, Adam Earhart here, and in this video, I'm going to show you the only two things that you need to get your agency to 10 to 20K a month consistently and predictably, as well as an added bonus thing that you're going to be able to use in order to take that to 50K a month, 100K a month, and automate and sort of turn your agency into more of a passive income generating machine where you don't have to be there 24/7, essentially managing everything. See, one of the biggest problems or myths or misconceptions about agencies is that they're just going to take away all of your time and all of your energy and not make you any money. Maybe that's an old or dying business model and nobody uses marketing agencies anymore, but none of that could be further from the truth. And really, all this is being said from somebody who's trying to get you to chase the latest shiny object instead of sticking with a tried and true and proven method to build real wealth. I'm talking about millions and millions of dollars, generational wealth that you're going to be able to use to set yourself up for a lifetime of freedom, complete control of your schedule, generational wealth that you can then pass on to kids or family or anyone else that you want to take care of. And of course, all of this is possible with the agency model, especially when you do it correctly and especially when you follow the steps and the guidelines that I'm about to lay out for you here, none of which are incredibly complicated, all of which are incredibly effective and very profitable. So with that said, let's dive into the whiteboard of truth and justice. And we're going to start with point number one, which is the core foundation of essentially everything that I teach inside of the Agency Accelerator program and on this channel here, as well as on the main channel on YouTube there, centers around acquisition, around the acquisition of clients, around the acquisition of customers for your clients. We call this a version of GTKT. So this is get them and then keep them. Obviously, keep them is going to be part two. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But the very first thing we need to do is we need to get clients. And there's perhaps no better way to get clients than good old-fashioned outreach. This is sort of the bread and butter of everything that we do. This is proven to be effective regardless of what niche or industry or market you're in. It's effective no matter what kind of time or budget you're working with. It's effective whether you're brand new or you've been doing this forever. It's just one of those tried and true strategies that you simply don't want to ever really deviate from. Even if you unlock a new method of getting clients, say you tap into Facebook ads or Google ads or some other kind of inbound content marketing strategy, you still never want to neglect outreach because it is just so incredibly effective. So outreach then can sort of be broken down into a few different buckets. We found three to be the most effective for most of our students. And these are the strategies that I used to scale my last agency up to 100K a month in less than 30 days. And it really comes down to these three things: cold email. Then we have calling. Then we have DMs. And then we're going to move on to the next section. We'll put that on the next line. That's it. Cold email, cold calling, cold DMs. The premise behind this is really quite simple. All we're going to do is make a prospect list of potential ideal clients for your agency. Then we're going to send them a message and see if we can pique enough curiosity and interest for them to respond so that we can carry on the conversation. Now, real quick note here, the purpose of doing these initial outreach, whether it's through cold email, through calling, through DMs, is not to make a sale right there on that very first point of contact. The purpose of this is to simply initiate and to start that conversation so that you can then book a sales call where you can then go over their pains and their problems and their fears and their frustrations and their wants and their goals and their dreams and their desires, all of the things that your agency is going to be able to solve for them. Now, when it comes to this approach, there are two different paths that we take, and we find that it's a pretty even mix between which one is going to work, which is why we pretty much always test both, no matter what kind of niche or industry you're in. So that would lead us nicely to essentially either value or no value, which isn't as bad as it sounds. Stick with me. So the value here is some kind of marketing audit, some kind of cheat sheet, freebie, giveaway. When we were doing cold outreach for essentially building up the agency, we were giving away free leads, anything that you can find. We have obviously a system that we use inside where we do a marketing audit. We go through a prospect website and we look at their socials and their rankings and things like that. We use software to automate all of this, so it doesn't take any of our time. And then we send them that report. That is a value add outreach. By far, the most effective one. in regards to getting responses, but not necessarily the most effective one in regards to time and money payoff, ROI on your time. Because obviously you're going to have to create these audits. Even though the software is doing it, you still have to quickly sort of wrap it up, make a little video to go with it. That said, if you're short on money and you got a little bit of time, sending a value audit is probably the best way for you. The alternative then is this no value, which again, sounds terrible. But what it really is asking a question like, are you interested in this? Can I send you more info? Does this sound like something that you would find valuable? Now, obviously we want to go through scripting a better cold email than that, or cold DM, have a cold call script. I've got a ton of videos on this channel as well as on the other channel that'll walk you through all that. So we don't need to get into specifics here, but the purpose of this one is simply to look for a prospect that has their hand ready to be raised and say like, are you interested in this? And they say, yeah, I'm interested. Send me some info. And then we can transfer them from the lead column to the hot lead column because they've expressed interest, they've responded, they've engaged, their emails are now going to start going into their inbox. All good things start to happen when we get this. Now, this one we would call bulk, and this one would be targeted. Like I said, neither is necessarily better. The targeted strategy does require a little bit more time, whereas the bulk strategy typically requires a little bit more money because we're going to need a larger prospect list in order to send this to. We're going to need automation software in order to blast all of these emails out. If we're doing it via DMs, we're going to need possibly even different accounts so that we don't push up against the upper sending limits of how much we're able to do. If we're doing cold calling, pretty much all we need is a prospect list for that one. And then these all come down here. We're going to change the color because this is where the money is made. And this is follow-up. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make, regardless of how long they've been in the agency game, is that they send the outreach, they'll send a cold email, they'll make a call, they'll do whatever. That's it, and they'll stop. And they don't follow up at all, which is madness because all you have to do is Google follow-up statistics or sales follow-up touch points required or anything like that. And you're going to find a very clear marking saying like most of the sales that are made are not made on the first contact. Like 80% occur later. And typically it's around like the 4th or 5th, sometimes 6th or 7th contact. Now, obviously there are caveats here. You can't just spam people all day. You need to have unsubscribed links or make sure that it's clear for how they can opt out or stop communication from you. But you would be amazed at how many people respond on that 4th or 5th email or touch point, especially if it's worded correctly, where we add a little bit of FOMO, a little bit of scarcity, some urgency to it, essentially letting them know that, hey, we're going to stop writing you if you don't want this. That's cool. And then a lot of people say, oh, sorry, I was just busy or whatever it was. And that's where all of the money is made. So outreach, we can do cold email, cold call, we can send DMs, we can send them value-based emails, Loom video audits, marketing video audits of their marketing, or we can send no value emails, essentially, really well written. They're still relevant. They're still specific. They're still personalized, but we're going to send these en masse. And then of course, we're going to follow up. This is the most important part. If I had to look at all of the students that have gone through our program, the ones that get the best results, the fastest, are basically always the ones that are doing the most outreach. Like, without fail. It doesn't matter what niche they're in, doesn't matter their experience level, how long they've been doing it. It really just comes down to like, how much outreach are they doing? The ones that do the most make the most money. So let that be a clue for you there. Next, we got to talk about the other thing that you need. If that first one is GT, get them, the second one is KT. This is keep them. This is where we're going to make sure that your clients get really good results, because as nice as it is to be able to cash a $2,000 check or a $5,000 check or even a $10,000 check on month one, it's a lot nicer to cash that repeatedly, month after month after month, that recurring revenue, that semi-passive income stream that's going to allow you to essentially compound. Because if you think about it for a second, let's say you get 5 clients at $2,000 a month each. Well, that's $10,000. Fantastic. Really, really good place to start. But if you do that again the next month, well, now you're adding 20,000, and you do it again the next month, and now you're up to 30,000. And you can see that we could just keep doing this, and provided that we keep our churn low enough, so we're retaining our clients by actually getting them results, which should be the goal of this all anyway, you can start to build a massive amount of wealth faster than pretty much any other vehicle that I've come across. So we're going to call this one Client ROI, because I want to let you in on a little secret. If you make your clients money, you will make more money. Full stop. If you do not make your clients money, they will not keep you around. It's very simple, which is why results is the name of the game. You want to make sure that you're offering services that are going to get your clients results. This is why I'm not a huge fan of doing web design or graphic design or even content marketing for clients from a marketing agency perspective, simply because it's really hard to draw the line between the work that you've done and the money that you're now making them. A whole lot easier when you're doing lead generation, when you're acquiring customers for them, when you're showing them booked appointments on their calendar. They can see it. They can tangibly see the results of all of the money that they're investing in you. And if you make them $1 million, they'll be more than happy to give you $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever that percentage is. Of course, we can do flat fees. Again, another discussion for another day. But client ROI, aka services, because that is really what this is going to come down to, is what we're offering them and how are we actually going to do it so that we're able to fulfill and get them results time and time again. Now, I'm going to draw a couple different buckets here because there's two different big approaches that a lot of people take when it comes to marketing agency services and trying to decide what to do. And if you're struggling to get your clients results, my hope here, my intention here is this solves all of this for you once and for all. Because when it comes to marketing, digital marketing, online marketing, we've got a couple different paths, excluding, of course, web design, content marketing, all of the things that I strongly suggest you don't do. That kind of leaves us with a couple different options. One of them is really search-based, and the other is really discovery-based. So search-based has to do with intent, and discovery has to do with interest. The big thing here is essentially, we're going to say Google versus Facebook and possibly Instagram. Now, a lot of clients are going to ask for Facebook ads, Instagram ads, social media marketing, and that's fine. If they're asking for it, you can absolutely deliver it. I've built multiple agencies off of Facebook ads, created campaigns for massive companies, spent over $70 million on Facebook ads alone. It's a very viable option. But for most small local businesses, plumbers, roofers, landscapers, solar companies, med spas, things like that, you're going to be significantly better served by sticking with a search-based approach, by sticking with the sort of the Google properties, the Google services, because they have intent. Someone shows up to Google looking for something, and then you make sure that it's your clients' businesses that show up for that, which means that the sale is easier. You don't have to persuade. You don't have to convince. You don't need to be an amazing marketer or copywriter. I mean, they've just said like, hey, I'm looking for solar panels. And you're like, hey, we got solar panels right here. And they say, cool. And that's it. Your work is done. Kind of oversimplifying it, but also kind of not. So what are we going to do here? Well, we have a few different options for where to go with our intent-based marketing. Let's open up the next page here as we run out of space. And really what we're looking at is Google Ads. So this would be like pay-per-click marketing. If you imagine sort of that search engine page, here's our Google and here's our search bar. Excellent art. These are our ads. Then we're going to have like our map pack listings here. And then we'll have our normal websites. Oh, that's atrocious. Kindergarten level, but we're going to go with it. So Google Ads, option number one. This is where we can run ads on behalf of our clients. They'll show up for relevant keywords. We can then transfer them to the next step of the puzzle we'll talk about in just a second. After that, we have this Google Map Pack. So we'll just say Google Maps. That's these are supposed to be pins. They don't look like pins, but they're supposed to be pins. And in here, this is where you're going to find the Google Business Profile. You're going to be able to optimize it by building citations to it, by making sure that it's complete and fully optimized, filling out the hours. Relatively simple to do in regards to search engine optimization, SEO. Also, the other benefit of sticking with this sort of intent-based approach right here is that it is a lot easier to outsource and to white label and to get a fulfillment center in order to look after all of this for you. Facebook ads, copywriting, content marketing, website design, a lot of that is very subjective, meaning that you could create a bunch of stuff or have an outsourced fulfillment center created for you, give it to your clients, and they could be like, this is garbage. I don't like it. And you won't really know why. Like, is it the color? Is it this? Is it that? And it's not black and white and like this worked, that didn't. Google Ads, rankings, all of this stuff actually is. It's very analytical. It's kind of boring to do, but it makes a lot of money. So again, if you're going to work on focusing on the sales and the scaling side of your agency and getting a fulfillment center to deliver this for you, a lot easier to do. I'll make sure to link up the fulfillment center that I like down below. Right now, we've got it closed via application only, but regardless, we'll put some info in there. Google Maps, and the third one then is, we're going to just say Google Organic SEO. This is what people mostly think of when they think of SEO, and it's going to be these guys here. Essentially all of the different rankings, all of the different websites that can appear on a page. Now, the beauty of this approach, and by sticking with sort of a search-based intent, is that not only can you give your clients something that is actually going to benefit them, but you can also give them a little bit of branding prestige, a little bit of that vanity boost that they want by doing what we call essentially search engine domination. Because we can get them a spot in the Google Ads, we can get them a spot on the Google Maps, and we can get them a spot in Google Organic SEO. And in fact, for lower competition keywords in smaller towns, you can often take up 2, sometimes even 3 spaces in Google Organic, which makes you look like an absolute legend. So what do we do with all this? We're showing up, we're doing all these things. How do we get results from there? Well, this pretty much always leads to a landing page, not a homepage. For the love of God and all things holy, not a homepage. Please, I'm begging you. Never send traffic to a homepage. Homepage is a mess. It's got all their stuff. It's got services and contact details and stories about their dog and random pictures and just terrible, terrible things that visitors go to and get confused and lost. They click the back button, they bounce, and you don't look like a hero anymore. That's sad. So we fix this by sending them to a landing page. This is a specific page that is designed with the sole intention of capturing a lead. That's it. We'll typically have some kind of irresistible offer up here with a headline. We'll have a button above the fold, meaning this is what shows up before they scroll down or anything like that. Have a really strong call to action there. This can be on the left side, the right side. It could be red or orange or blue. It rarely matters as much as you think. What matters is the quality of the offer that we're making to them. Then from that landing page, we send them to, this should hopefully not come as a surprise, especially if I do the $ to remind you, follow up, aggressive follow up, violent follow up. We need to follow up. Just like we follow up with our leads for your agency, we need to follow up with the customers that fill out this initial step. And we need to make sure that we're doing it, obviously following the laws and the rules, making sure that we have double opt-in and all of those things. But it's incredibly important that we do follow up with them, or they will not come back and we will lose those leads. We cannot simply take a lead from a landing page and then expect them to do something, because they won't. This is why it's up to you. Now, best way to do follow-up. We found that for most businesses right now, today's day and age is pretty much always SMS. We do send emails because we can, but the response rate to email versus SMS is abysmally low. So if anything, we're sort of collecting the emails more as a potential future retargeting strategy, building a customer list, creating lookalike audiences, all kinds of other fancy pants things we may or may not do in the future. But the one thing that pretty much always works is SMS. And we want to send it pretty much immediately. We want to make sure that we follow up with some kind of irresistible offer. And we want to make sure that we're giving them the opportunity to go from this landing page to book an appointment or to make the call or whatever is going to be the most relevant to your clients and what you're working on for them. All right, that's it. Believe it or not, as far as making it to 10 to 20K a month. But let's talk about how to go from 20K to 50K to 100K, in which case we're going to need a few more things. Now, we could call this SOPs, standard operating procedures. We could call it systems. We could call it scaling strategies, but I want to break it down into 2 very specific tools that I think are going to come in handy for you. One of which is going to be AI, and the other is automation. And they kind of go hand in hand, but they're also different enough to break them out. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use artificial intelligence in order to do some of the heavy lifting for you. And we're also going to use it as kind of a bit of a sexy trick or tactic or tool to put in front of potential prospects and show them that, yes, we are actually on the cutting edge of all things cool and marketing related, which is why we use AI, even though between you and I, its uses are getting better in regards to lead gen, but they're not fully fleshed out yet, with a couple exceptions. And that's what I want to introduce you to. So we're going to talk about AI in a second, but first I want to talk about automation, and namely workflows which are the processes that we're going to use both internally for your agency as well as for your clients. So all of this stuff here that we just talked about, these Google ads that then goes down to a landing page that then sends them a follow-up with an SMS, none of that should be done manually for two reasons. The first of which is because it's boring and time consuming and frustrating. And why? The second thing is because it's going to get missed, and it's not practical for you to just sit there waiting by the phone all the time to text the leads that are going to come in for your clients. That is a horrible way to live. So we use automations. We set up workflows. We set up triggers. This is why when someone clicks a button, they get the next action. When they enter their information, they get the next SMS. We check based on how they're going to respond, which kind of leads me into AI a little bit, using intent. And then we can figure out, are they interested? Are they not? Do they want an appointment? We can guide them to the next step. All of this happens instantaneously, automatically, all thanks to software with no work on your part. So workflows. The other thing we can use is snapshots. What these allow us to do is essentially port over a series of different templates so that we're able to recreate success on demand. This is why if you're able to get results with one kind of client and you've proven that it's effective, we can just copy and paste that system, that framework, that template, that workflow, that automation, and we can use it for the next client and the next one and the next one. And this is the importance of niching down and making sure that you're not serving a million different clients in a million different industries, because it's simply going to be impossible to get them all absolutely incredible results. It's, at the very least, is making your life way harder than it needs to be. Much better off to figure out what works and then just do it again and again and again, because your clients are going to be happier and you're going to be happier. Because again, if you remember way back up to here, way back up, where is it? Right there. Client ROI. That's the name of the game. We got to make them money. And there's no point in making your life more challenging than it needs to be. But let's talk about AI next, artificial intelligence. How do we use it? Where do we use it? Well, there's two different places that we're getting great results with it right now. One of which is conversation AI. And I guess actually that's the one place, but then it breaks down into two different areas, which are intent finding and appointment booking. Now, here's what's cool about AI these days. People know that it exists and they don't mind it. If you remember back to, it was around probably 2018, 2019, bots came on the scene. Chat bots, ManyChat, all kinds of different follow-up bots that you were able to sort of pre-program in different responses and different chat flows. People didn't like them very much. Some marketers had some good results for a short time, but a lot of people were frustrated that they were talking to a bot. They didn't like talking to robots. That perception, that consumer behavior has changed, where now, provided that we're upfront with it, we're like, hey, you're talking to a robot, but I'm actually a pretty cool robot and I might be able to help you out. So let me know what you're looking for. That perception has changed and people kind of like it. ChatGPT did a lot of the heavy lifting for us. People got more familiar with kind of typing into a robot and getting relatively realistic, natural language back. So now we're able to use it for these things here. What this means, twofold. First of all, is you can use this in your own agency in order to sort of streamline your client acquisition process, guiding people through different automations and AIs and having them do some of the heavy lifting for you. And it also makes it look kind of cool, especially if the business owner is somewhat savvy or interested in AI, for them to sort of, I don't want to call it funnel hack your funnel, but at least it keeps them interested and engaged. The second part, though, in the area that I'm significantly more excited about, is using it on behalf of your clients. So essentially incorporating artificial intelligence, AI, specifically through conversation AI, and installing this in all of these workflows that we're talking about here. So from Google Ads, Maps, organic SEO, going to the landing page, kicking off a conversation, doing the follow-up, sending the SMS, and then having conversation AI take over and guide that conversation in a direction that's best for you and for the client. And we do that through intent finding. So we can actually have the artificial intelligence judge that conversation and figure out, is this person interested in this? Are they not? Do they want more information there? And it goes far beyond just answering like type in yes to get this or type in no. They can look for synonyms or the nerdy word here in SEO is latent semantic indexing, LSIs, terms that are similar enough, and then the AI knows and it'll guide them in the right direction. And then, of course, we can offer them appointment booking. Would you like to book a call? Here's a spot. Here's this, here's that, here's the other thing. And the AI, again, will decipher what they're saying and help to provide them relevant feedback and then move them to the calendar or to the phone or to whatever other form of communication that your clients want. Now, of course, there is specific software that I love and use for this. High Level is the one, and I've got some resources here called highlevelguide.com, which will give you access to all kinds of nifty and fun things. Also, and interestingly, there's an AI challenge or video or something that they're putting on here. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. There it is. And I'm going to make sure to put a link in the descriptions to this as well. And what this is essentially a video showing you in a lot more detail what I'm talking about here. So it's going to go into some of the conversation AI. It's going to go into how to use it. It's going to go into how to pitch this to business owners to show them the value and the viability of this as a service. It's a very cool thing right now because so many different business owners are starting to raise their hands and say, like, I want AI. I want to see what that looks like for my business. And, somebody come do it for me. So they're already pre-sold and relatively pre-qualified for this. And then all you have to do is go in there and sell it to them. So with all that said, I'll put all of those fancy pants links down in the descriptions below. Also, I'm going to link up a video right over there that's going to give you even more strategies, tools, tips, and tricks to help you grow your agency. And of course, if you are interested in seeing how we help agency owners grow and scale to 6 or 7 figures, I'll put that link in the descriptions below. So many links. So little time. Let's make it happen, my friend, and talk to you soon.